Good afternoon, homies, and welcome back to Daddy's series on deck building. I'm finding some divos that I have hidden around underneath all my toys and stuff. We got these new divos that my buddy Perry got me from the Costco. They're pretty tasty. I still like mine from the Dollarama because they're smaller and they're easier for me to manage. But these ones are pretty tasty too. They're nice and thick and they're very good for chewing on. Anywho, today's an interesting video because it's going to be kind of like a part one of two because there's lots of cards to go over. And we're not exactly sure when the buddy Perry is going to come home. We got that big ass thing in the way, so Daddy can't really work on his storage stuff anyways because he can't get the boxes by. So we're gonna work on his video instead for you guys. And while we're working on this video, Daddy's gonna multitask and also make his lunch because he's gotta get me out for my WALK before it gets too hot. So that's the stuff to do, and that's in a very short time. So you're gonna see this part, and then there's probably gonna be another part that gets filmed in the car at a later point. Okie day, okie day. Daddy, go start your card stuff and go start your lunch. I want to get out. Yes, Kaiba. As Kaiba says, welcome back to 100. And we have been working on the Paramicon Walls deck for quite some time now. This is episode 5, I believe, if I remember correctly. It might be episode 6, though. So I apologize if I've got the episode number wrong, but I'm pretty sure it's 5. And so I'm gonna make some pasta for myself. I'm not doing anything like super crazy because making fresh pasta and stuff like that I'm not doing here since I have limitations on what spices I'm allowed to use in this house. But so while I work on that, I am also going to work on the cards with you guys, as Kaiba said. And so yeah, we got our foundations box here where our deck is being held. Quick refresher, our current deck as it stands. We're just going to go over this. I'm not going to actually go over each of the individual cards, but I am going to quickly flip through them, and I'm going to do a count. I believe, if I remember correctly, there are 13 optional cards left for us to pick. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 63. How did I screw that up? There's no way that's right. Am I missing some of the deck? Did I mix some in by accident? Maybe I did. Hold on. Maybe I mixed some of these in by accident. Ah, yes. Okay, that's why. These are all supposed to be over there too. Up until a certain point. I think I mixed, yeah. There we go. Okay. I was at 63, right? Yeah. 64, 65, 66, 67, 68, 69, 73, 74, 75, 76, 77. Alright, I was right. 87. Which means we have 13 options left, although I am considering dropping the 3 cards that let me goad. Because I really do hate goad. It is my absolute most, it's the mechanic that makes me the most frustrated at the table. Because I am, as I've mentioned before, maybe not in this series, but in other places, I'm a very defensive player by nature. I don't like necessarily going for the attack every turn if there's no need to. I like to develop my resources, build up a better army, that kind of thing. So, goad always kind of annoys me. So I'm going to put those 3 there. And then if I want to, actually no, I'm going to put them here. And they could potentially be replaced. Previously we also had, I believe it was 4 optional cards. I've now mixed those into the piles that I'm going to be revealing today. I don't know how many piles we'll get through today, but we're going to do as many as we can. And then if my dad comes home, I will just continue this in the car. As you can see, these piles are very thick. I couldn't decide exactly what to cut and what to keep in terms of these cards, but the 2 piles on the left, which I'm just going to tilt this down. Actually, maybe I'll go to the side here. Yeah, that's a better option, I think. There we go. So these 2 piles here are actually the smallest ones, and this is all counter spells, but I actually want to include a decent chunk of counter spells among these, which is another reason why I might consider cutting the goat cards. This is the smallest pile, and this pile is just basically like some random things that I thought might be good to include in the deck. There's some card draw in there, a few other things. This pile here is stuff to deal with creatures that my opponent has or that I've taken and I want to necessarily not leave on the battlefield. Whereas this pile is all stuff that helps me protect my stuff, and it's things that will help me improve my creatures that I want to actually keep on the battlefield. Or it's things that I want to give to the stuff that I've stolen for a turn, and then let it dissipate so that they don't get to keep the abilities and benefits. Pardon me. So my goal is to try and get through these as much as possible today, and continue it, if need be, in another episode next week, or if not, maybe make this a 2-parter and make it like a big finale. I haven't decided for sure. My main goal for today, though, if I can before my dad gets home, is at the very least to get through the counter spells. There are currently 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22 counter spells in this pile. At the minimum, I want 5 counter spells, which will leave me 8 slots for other stuff. If I decide to get rid of those 3, which I really am tempted to do, then I will have the extra 3 spots, probably 4 more counter spells. The 3 goated cards, just to go over them super quick. This one in particular I'm not really fond of. It's just going to give my opponent a whole bunch of extra boost, so it encourages them to want to attack with the creature, which they're going to have to anyways if I've goated it, so what the hell. That one I kind of like because it gives me treasures. So when I attack with the creature and when they attack with the creature, I get a treasure token. So it's 2 tokens per turn, potentially. I kind of like that one. I'm thinking about leaving that one in. The other one is okay. It lets me scry to whenever the creature attacks. I'm not terribly fond of that. It will help me go through the deck faster if I need to search for certain particular cards, but there's not a lot of things in here that I'm necessarily like, that has to be on the field at all times kind of thing. I don't think there's anything in particular that's like major like that, other than a couple enchantments that I might want to get out earlier, but... So this is a maybe. I'm thinking the red one is a yes, and I'm going to turn the white one down now. I'm going to say we don't need that one. So I'm going to say the red one is a yes, though, even though I really hate goated. I really, really hate goated. I think the idea of getting 2 treasure tokens per turn is too good not to include. So that puts the total deck up to 85 cards at the back there, which means we have 15 slots to pick. And like I say, we're going to go through these counter spells and try and pick 5 of them today while I cook the lunch and such. So, quickly going over what we have here. We have Hindering Light. It's a blue and a white counter target spell that targets you or a permanent you control and draw a card. I think that's not a bad one. It gives you a card draw too, which is nice. The only downside is you have to have both colors available, so I'm putting that as a maybe. Sinister Sabotage. I always love this one. It's one of my favorites, but to be honest, in this deck, I don't think the Surveil is as important, so I'm going to say no to that one.
Spellgire, I like this one a little bit, but again, the Surveil is just not super important. The card draw is kind of nice, but you only get to pick one of these two, so I'm going to turn that one down as well. Essence Scatter. Counter target creature spell. I'm going to say that as a maybe. I like the cheapness of it. There could be some creatures that could be issues. I wish it was creature or planeswalker, to be honest, which is why I'm going to put it in a maybe. Cancel counter target spell for 1 and 2 blue. I think that's just a simple, gets you done, gets you everything you need. I'm going to say yes to that one. It's a little, having the 2 blue mana might be a challenge, but counter target spell unless its controller pays 1, or you can cycle this for blue. I kind of like the versatility of that one, but there might be something else that may be better, so I'm going to put that to the side as a maybe, but it's definitely like top of the maybe pile right now. Counter target converted spell with mana cost 4 or greater. I'm going to say no to that one. There may be some good things that I might be able to counter with that, but I mean, honestly, I don't know if my opponent will play stuff, and I might be stuck with a dead card on my hand. Counter target creature or planeswalker spell unless its controller pays 3. This is what I'm talking about. See, that's much better than the one that was only targeting a creature. I like that one. That one's going in. Long River's Pull, you have to gift a card in order to make sure that it counters anything instead of just a creature, so I'm going to say no. Because I don't want to necessarily give my opponents more cards in this deck. Cost 2 less to cast if it counters a creature spell, otherwise it counters anything for 2 and a blue. I'm going to say no. Amazing Acrobatics, choose one or both. Tap 1 or 2 target creatures, counter target spell. I'm going to put it in the maybe, but I don't think it's going to make it. Right now, the Censor is definitely like the top of the maybe pile. Familiar's Ruse. I think this is one of the ones I actually really liked. Let me just double check. Oh yeah, okay. See, this is what I like about this one. As an initial cost to cast this, you have to return a creature you control to its owner's hand. So if I happen to have one of my opponent's creatures on the field and they try to counter something that I'm doing, I can simply send their creature back to their hand and then I can still counter the spell. So it doesn't actually cost me anything other than the ability to swing that turn, but it really kind of sets them back because now they have to pay to put their thing back on the field. I like that one a lot. I think it's very good for this deck. Ice Out, I can bargain, sacrifice an artifact, enchantment, or a token. Counter target spell, but it could cost me 2 blue I'm going to put that in the maybe. Mystical Confluence. I like this one because it does a lot of neat stuff, but it's expensive. Counter target spell unless its controller pays 3. Return target creature to its owner's hand. Draw a card. I could potentially return like up to 3 creatures to their owner's hands, or I could counter a spell unless its controller pays 9. Like, that's insanely good. Drawing some cards too. I'm going to put that in the maybe. Whatever. Memory Drain, counter target spell, scry 2 for 2 and 2 blue. I'm going to say maybe. Disruption Protocol, as additional cost to cast this, tap an untapped artifact or you control or pay 1. I'm just going to go double check and see if my dad's here. He might be. I might have to stop. Nope, not yet. My neighbor's dogs actually kind of act as like an early warning sign for me a lot of the times with regards to my dad coming home. Annul is nice because it can counter an artifact or enchantment and it's really cheap. I kind of think that's a good one to include, but we only have so many slots, so I'm putting it into the maybe for now. Because we already have 3 in this pile, and I'm really tempted to put Censor in, which would make 4. So let's see what we got left, and then we'll go. Counter target spell. If that spell is countered this way, exile instead of putting its owner's graveyard. You can shuffle up to 4 targets. Okay, I want to include this one. I remember when I was looking through the pile, I thought this is a really good one to include because it gives me back a whole bunch of my spells that let me steal stuff. Put them into my library back. So I'm going to, yes, even though that's an expensive one, it's very solid all around. An offer you can't refuse. Counter target non-creature spell. Its controller creates 2 treasure tokens. I don't really want to give treasures to other people, necessarily. Counter target spell that targets a permanent you control, draw a card? Maybe. Negate, classic, counter target non-creature spell. Maybe. And Mystical Dispute. Costs 2 less to cast if it targets a blue spell, counter target spell unless the controller pays 3. I'm going to say no. Alright, so we got rid of a decent chunk of those off the get-go. I really want to put Censor in, so I'm going to say 5 there. Since we got rid of the white enchantment that does goading, I'm going to pick 1 from this pile to add, which will make 6 counter spells. And then we are going to just decide from there if there's any extra space, we'll leave an extra room for 1 or 2 more. But we're going to pick the top 3 out of this pile of maybes. And those 3 will be the ones that get included potentially. So, Memory Drain, I don't think it's good enough to be included. Negate, it's decent for sure. I like the artwork on it. I'm going to say, let's put it to the back of the pile and continue. Keep Safe, I think that's a solid one. As long as it's targeting a permanent I control. And I mean, there's going to be a lot of chance. Yeah, you know what? I like that one. That one's going there. Okay. Annul. As cheap as Annul is, I'm going to put it to the back for now. Ice Out. I probably don't have a lot of stuff to bargain with. I don't care about the tapping as much as I thought I would. I'm going to say no to that one. Confluence is a good one. Okay, I'm going to put Confluence behind Keep Safe. I think Keep Safe's the better option. But it does so much of what I want it to do. Okay, I'm going to put those 2 there. Those 2 are my maybes. I'm going to say no to the rest of these. I think that I'm pretty solid to say no to the rest of those. So, we've got 5 that we've picked. We've picked Censor, Devious Cover-Up, Familiar's Ruse, Reject, and Cancel. Pretty solid counterspells all around, I think, to include into our deck. And that brings our deck total up to 90. And leaves us space for 10 more cards. I'm going to add these 2 counterspells into the pile with the Psychic Impetus for the maybes that we'll check later. These, I'm really tempted to just say nothing to, but I want to flip through them real quick and just see if anything jumps out as like crazy good for this deck. Because I can't remember what I put into this pile. I'd prefer though to get 5 from here and 5 from here, to be perfectly honest. And then I might not either use any of those 3 maybes. But I could possibly see myself reducing this pile by 1 to include one of the maybes in that slot. But I definitely think that 5 of these cards could be very interesting to include. So, let me just get this pan on. Pan of tofu that needs to be rehydrated. Get the base from the pasta sauce started. Put this up to 2.5. Oh my boy, I know. You're worried it's going to rain, and it might, and I apologize if it does. Miraculous Recovery. Return target creature card from your graveyard to the battlefield. Put a +1/+1 counter on it. I thought that would be kind of a neat one to include, but I mean, 4 and a white is expensive, so I'm going to go with no, probably not. Opt for some simple scry and card draw at a cost of 1. You know what? That could be a good one to include. I'm going to keep that there. Frantic Search. I've always kind of liked Frantic Search because you get to untap the lands, so you basically just get the lands right back for something else after you've done the 2 draw and discard 2. I'm going to keep it there too. Dig Through Time, I'm going to say no to right away. It's too expensive, and I'm not going to be delving a lot with this deck, to be honest. I mean, actually, this is a deck that delving would be, you know what? This is a deck that delving wouldn't be the issue, because a lot of times the reason why I don't like delve is because I don't want to remove the stuff from my graveyard. But although the walls don't necessarily have to come back to the battlefield, they're just basically there to be blockers. They're not actually like... Some of them are key, but there's not a lot of key ones. Curate, I'm going to say no to, because again, I'm not interested in surveilling with this deck as much as I thought it would be. Consider... Look at the top card of your library, you can put that card into your graveyard. Basically, that's surveilling. Fact or fiction? No, definitely not. Deliberate, scry 2, then draw a card? I think I'm just going to keep the 1-cost one in there. It's cheaper and just gets the job done. This spell costs 2 less to cast if you've cast another spell this turn. Focus, camera. Thank you. Draw 3 cards, discard a card for 4 to blue. I'm going to say no. Quick study, draw 2 cards. No, don't need that. Mystical retrieval. Return target instant or sorcery card from your graveyard to your hand. It's expensive, but what I like about this is it has flashback, so I can play this twice and get 2 cards back. Both of which being cards that will let me steal, so I think that's a good one. This is one of the ones that we originally had as a maybe, and I'm going to say no to it now. Invoke the Winds. Basically does the same thing as what that did, except you don't have to actually keep the enchantment on it, so you don't have to worry about losing control of the creature once this sorcery goes through. The downside is it costs 4 blue, which is a lot for a deck that is tricolored, so I'm going to say no. I kind of like Shifting Grift. This is one of the ones that I was really considering. So it costs 2 blue, but then you can pay up to 6, and you can do all 3 of the following. Exchange control of 2 target creatures, exchange control of 2 target artifacts, exchange control of 2 target enchantments. I think that's going to be really good for this deck, so I want to put that there. And then finally, self-reflection I thought would be kind of interesting to include. It's really expensive, but if I steal something from somebody and then I create a token that's a copy of what I stole from them, I can permanently keep one on my side of the field, which is kind of neat. So you know what? I'm going to actually say yes to Shifting Grift and self-reflection. And I think I'm going to include Opt. Well... You know what? Actually, yes. I'm going to include Opt, and I'm going to include Mystical Retrieval as potentials. Well, we're going to leave those 4 aside. We're going to set this one aside. No. Okay. So, these 4, I really want to include, but it depends on what we pull from these piles. Let's give this a quick stir. You okay, Kaiba? Yeah? You a good boy? Oh my goodness. We're very, very tired. Are we very, very tired? Poor baby. So, pasta sauce, for the record, in case you guys are curious. Tofu that's freeze-dried, plus some salt and pepper to start. And then I'm going to be adding some Red Hot from Frank's. And some Hickory Old West Bullseye. Into this next. Just a quick check. Started reacting. No, no truck. Okay. Let's check on the pug. It's been a bit since we checked on the pug. Let's see how he's doing. Hey, pug. How are you? You okay? I know. It's not the nicest day out today, is it? Oh, baby. You good boy. Yes, you are. You a good boy. Oh, what a big stretch. What a big stretch. Yes, a big stretch for a baby boy. Oh my goodness. Kaiba likes it when it's lunchtime because Kaiba always gets a slice of cheese at lunchtime. Sometimes with bacon. Or something else, depending on whether my dad left something for him. Yes, I haven't got to that stage yet. You know, I get that stage in a couple more stages. First it's the red hot and the barbecue, then it's the pasta sauce, and then it's the bread and cheese time. You haven't got to that part yet. I'm working on it. I know. You hate it when I multitask while I cook because it delays the cheese. I'm sorry. Correct. Try not to spill while you cook, because the sauce has a tendency to burn onto the burner otherwise. So I like to keep a paper towel nearby, because I'm a little bit sloppy when I mix things. Water is not quite boiling yet, but it's getting there. All right. This pile here, I think I'm going to look at last, because I don't know how many of those I'm going to end up including. I might not include any of them, to be honest, because I really like these 4 cards here. And because I like these 4 cards so much, I might end up only including 6 from there and saying we're done this deck. So, let's see what we got in here. Next time a source of your choice would deal damage to you this turn, prevent that damage. If the damage prevent this way, da-da-da-da-da. I'm going to say no to that one. It's too expensive. But Boros Charm is kind of cool for this deck. Gives all my walls indestructible for a turn. Or I could give one of the creatures that I steal from somebody else double strike. Or I can deal 4 damage to a planeswalker. Probably not going to do it to a player, but that is pretty versatile. I kind of like that. So I'm going to put that over here with the other 4. Warflare. Creatures you control get +2/+1 until end of turn. Untap them. Probably not going to need that in this deck. It's better for a deck that is more focused on the attacks, whereas my deck is more focused on making one specific attack per turn. Target creature gets +2/+0 and gains first strike until end of turn. Up to one other target creature gets +0/+2 and gains lifelink until end of turn. I kind of like this one because it can be very good on defense, but it can also be solid for the creatures that I attack with. So I'm going to put that as a maybe. Because we got a lot of cards to go through. Fight as 1. I don't have any humans in this deck, so I think that that's not going to be worthwhile including. I can protect 1 wall with that, but unless I'm stealing humans, it's probably not going to be worthwhile. I like this. All blocking creatures get +0/+3 until end of turn for 2 and a white. I think that's pretty good. I'm going to include that as a maybe, though. Because it's not quite good enough for me to just throw it in. Jump scare until end of turn. Target creature gets +2/+2, gains flying, and becomes a horror enchantment creature in addition to its other types. I do like that it gets flying at +2/+2, but probably not going to use that. I will put it there as a maybe, because it's so cheap. But I'm betting there's something that's going to be better. Target creature you control gets +2/+2 until end of turn. If a gift was promised, it also gets indestructible. Gifting a food could be worthwhile. Maybe. That maybe pile is getting bigger and bigger. Bargaining, we already decided, was probably not going to be worthwhile, even though I will say this card has some pretty cool abilities. If you bargain with it, you get flying and lifelink. But I don't want to sacrifice any of my enchantments. I don't probably have a lot of artifacts, unless that enchantment that gives me the treasures is out. And I don't know how many tokens I'm going to have available, so I'm going to go with no on that. Swift Justice, until end of turn, target creature gets +1/+0 in first strike and lifelink. That is solid. That is definitely almost an auto include. You know what? I am going to include that one. So that puts us up to 6 in that pile. Target creature gets +2/+2 until end of turn. Put a flying counter on it. I do not want to give a counter to other people's creatures, I decided. So we're going to say no. Gets flying until end of turn. Prevent combat damage. Again, I don't want to give counters to my opponent's stuff, necessarily. Target creature that or player this turn. I'm going to say no to that too. Target creature gains indestructible into end turn. Destroy target creature with toughness 4 or greater. It's not bad. Maybe. Put a +1/+1 counter on a creature. It gets flying and indestructible until end of turn. Yeah. I mean, if I put that onto my own creature, that's kind of good, but I'm going to say maybe. Target creature you control gains protection from the color of your choice until end of turn. Draw a card. Yeah. No. Well, okay, that's a way for me to get something through on a battle. I'm going to say maybe. Leave it in the maybe. Lifelink and indestructible in turn. Take up the shield basically does the same thing as Lightfoot technique. Except instead of flying, it's lifelink and indestructible. Cost the same too? Yeah. You know what? Whatever. We'll put it into the maybe pile. And continue. Wing it. Creature gets +2/+2 until end of turn. Put a flying counter. No, thank you. Not unless I'm going to actually do that to my own creature. Target creature gets +2/+2. Okay, you know what? Actually, put that there. Keep talking myself into it. Creatures get +2/+0 or +0/+2. I do like Fortify feels very on flavor for the deck, but at the same time, 3 is a little expensive. And I already have a card in here, Piety, that if I play that one, it's going to give me +0/+3 instead for the same cost. So I'm going to say no to Fortify, because the likelihood that I want to boost the attack is slim. Target creature is +2/+0 and gains first strike until end of turn. Skillful Lunge? I'm going to say no. Target creature is +2/+2 and indestructible and end of turn. Maybe. Survive the night, gains indestructible and +1/+0. I'm going to say no. Regenerate? I'm going to say no. Target creature is +1/+1 and double strike until end of turn for 2 and a white? Maybe. Gets +2/+0 and lifelink until end of turn? No. I don't want the spirit token anymore. +1/+1 counter on creature. That creature gets first strike until end of turn. You gain 2 life. That's kind of good. But again, do I want to give my opponents a +1/+1 counter? Not necessarily. Target creature gets protection from the color of your choice until end of turn. Scry 1. Okay. Target creature you control gains hexproof until end of turn. Untap that creature. Until end of turn, it becomes a copy of one other target creature. That's kind of cool, because if I target one of my walls, I can make my wall hexproof and then make it become a copy of something else so I can swing with 2 copies. That could be kind of neat. 1 and a blue? Yeah, okay. +1/+1 hexproof until end of turn. Untap it. I'm going to say no. Gains flying and hexproof and 4/4? Maybe. First strike. A lot of this pile is going to be first strike stuff, because what I was thinking about doing is giving all the stuff that I steal either first strike or double strike. And then that way I can guarantee that I'm going to be hitting my opponents. As you can see, this pile is just getting really, really big now. I don't care about the investigate so much, and that one's a little more expensive. I like the trample on that one, though. What was that? 1 no red? Okay. If it's your turn, creature gains trample, otherwise it gains first strike. I mean, that's kind of neat. My walls probably won't necessarily need that, but you get a treasure token out of that one. You can overload that and give all your stuff first strike, but I'm not going to have enough stuff to make that worthwhile, probably. I'm going to say no to that one. Ooh. Apparently my water is boiling enough that I should consider putting in the pasta, which means I've got to get the sauce in too. So we'll do this real quick, and then I'm probably going to cut it here and continue this video in the car later. Haste, it's already going to have haste. First strike and trample, that's pretty good. I don't know if I already have that one. First strike and reach? Probably not going to need that. Goblin, don't care. We already talked about this before. This is one of the maybes, and I still like that one, so it's going to go in there. All my creatures get trampled until end of turn. Chances are I'm not going to have enough that's going to be worthwhile. And it's +1/+0 until end of turn and is unblockable. I can overload it. Again, I think that's better for an army deck. This is not really an army deck. This is more like a sure strike deck. I'm going to actually put the Swift Justice and the Boros Charm back into this pile. I'm going to leave this pile... Well, yeah. I'm going to leave these 4 for now. With the other 3 that we called maybes. I'm going to put this pile back here. Next time when we restart, we're going to go through this pile first. But I don't really think we're going to include much of anything from this pile, to be honest. I'm going to flip through it just super quick for you guys. The main goal of this pile is to return creatures to my opponent's hands, essentially, or to destroy them. So after I've borrowed them, because in the other deck where I do this a lot, I'm trying to sacrifice creatures. So I steal something from them, I hit them with it, and then I find a way to sacrifice it. But right now, that's not what this deck is about. And I don't necessarily want to leave things on the battlefield all the time for them to hit me with. So if I can find a way to return some of the stuff that I steal back to their hands, I thought that would be kind of neat. But I'm not sure if I really want to focus on that as heavily as I originally planned. So, as I say, we're going to put that there, and we're going to start with that next time. Our deck total is currently up to 90. So we are almost finished with the Paramacon deck. And we've eliminated a decent number of cards today. This deck is all stuff I cut, so pretty good. In case I decide to post this as one video instead of two, much love to you all from Kaiba the Pug, who is definitely reacting, so my dad's probably home. And myself to you, take care, have a good day, and thanks for watching. Love you. Bye.